Hey everybody, my name's Jose. I'm here with my buddy Chris.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Today we wanted to get together and just kind of throw around some different ideas and just talk about our past and how this passion for motorsport has brought us together.
Yeah. So for motorsports, or sim racing in your case, because you sim race a lot, right?
Yeah,
How did that get started?
Apparently I'm a professional sim racer, but
According to what is it, a Bruzy?
According to FR Americas, I'm a professional sim racer. But hey, to each their own.
Hey, bro, if I'm a professional sim racer, I'd be down all day. I don't care,
Right?
Even if I'm super slow.
Works. So going back to the story about how I got into motorsport, when I was 5 years old back in Puerto Rico, that's when it all started. My dad, he owned a business in Puerto Rico, and it was basically catering to the entire motorsport industry. He had a huge karting shop. My grandmother also had a tire shop, so we were very involved in the world of motorsport, but also just general automotive industry.
Just in the automotive industry.
We were always in the automotive industry, and from there, the racing started. My dad had been doing professional karting for quite some time.
That's awesome.
He literally threw me into a kart when I was 4 or 5 years old and started doing competitive racing when I was 5 years old. And when we moved here to the States, unfortunately, all of that had come to an end. Just financially, it was
not sustainable. Like at the
yeah,
time.
I mean, it wasn't sustainable. It was a brand new start for us. We were coming in from Puerto Rico, to the United States. So
what part of Puerto Rico are you from?
I'm originally from Bayamon.
Okay.
So from there, we did a little bit of racing. We tried doing a little bit of racing, mostly like SCCA, FARA stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it all ended. I mean, we just couldn't keep going. It was too much money. And then, I started finding sim racing probably about 5-6 years ago when a buddy of mine, he bought an Xbox and he bought the wheel. It was a G920 that he bought, and we were just playing Forza. And I remember just doing laps and laps around the Nürburgring, and
You couldn't stop.
I couldn't stop. It was what brought me back to that mentality of being 5 years old, being back in the kart, and just not really having a whole big amount of worry in the world. I mean, now that we're older, we're a little bit wiser, and we've had knowledge, and we've been able to acquire jobs that really help us sustain our lifestyle to a degree.
Yeah, so what you obviously like truly enjoy, right? Or something that you at least can gauge that you start to like, and then you can actually develop that
I needed
thing with
something that was going to take me back and really make me happy.
the feel good days.
I needed that.
Yeah.
I think that we look at motorsports and we look at sports in general, specifically like football movies.
Mm-hmm.
I think football movies are by far the best in telling that feel good kind of euphoric story of like
Rudy. You get the freaking
Exactly.
that. You get what is it? What was that movie with Denzel Washington?
Remember the Titans?
Remember the Titans?
That's the movie I had in mind.
That's like
I mean,
amazing.
It's one of those movies
Sunshine.
that it's just it just makes you feel good. And I look at motorsports and I look at the type of people that are in motorsports, and when I kind of am by myself and I'm looking at the type of person that I want to be seen as,
Mm-hmm.
or the type of person that I want to look at, when I look at myself in the mirror,
Yeah.
that's the type of person that I want to feel as. I mean, I've always wanted to be a driver, and that kind of is what segued into the whole iRacing thing now, which has completely changed my life.
Yeah.
Um,
It has. It's changed it's funny because not like it's changed your life, changed my life. A lot of people around us,
especially right now. I mean, with everything that's going on in the world,
nothing to do.
It has completely taken motorsport to a whole new level,
Mm-hmm.
especially with all these new drivers coming in, and even these professional drivers that are running on iRacing. And basically, what ended up happening for me was when I started my company about 3 years ago, doing
Mm-hmm.
a lot of food content. So that's what I do is I do a lot of content, mainly for the food industry.
Okay.
I started doing content, and what I noticed was that I was shooting things that really I enjoyed,
Mm-hmm.
and fortunately I started making money from that, and I did
Okay.
very well. And little by little, I started putting the simulator together, and it wasn't even remotely going to be what it is today, where we're doing content with the simulator, we're doing content together on the simulator,
It's crazy.
and it just blew up. I mean, little by little, I put the chair together, then this monitor, then that, and a lot of it was just because I wanted it to look cool.
Yeah.
But now we're at a point where, especially now we're in quarantine, we can't really do a whole lot. All
We're
the
stuck
gear
at
is
home.
now dedicated for the simulator. So, when we met, we came together and, putting our expertises together, we're now making content for the sim racing industry.
Which is it's crazy how that happens. Which we'll get into that a little bit, once you go through it now. But just to give you kind of an insight on like how I got into it, like it was pretty much around the same like kind of like way you did. For me personally, like growing up, I didn't have like I had my dad, my mom that were super supportive, but they didn't really they weren't really in tune with like racing and stuff like that. Like my dad had gone to a few races here, like at the Miami Grand Prix and a bunch of that stuff, but it wasn't something that my dad, I guess, he probably liked, but he didn't show interest, or at least I didn't see it because I wasn't old enough at the time. So when I was of age, my dad put me into baseball, soccer. Those are my two main sports. I ended up, when I think I became 10 years old, I moved to Broward, which is that's where I was in Pines. I first moved to Pines.
That's right.
And I stopped playing soccer. I still played baseball here and there, but it wasn't something that was gonna take me to the next level. Because once you get to that age, you know that like there's people that are obviously way better than you, and there's not really like you can try, you can do your thing, you can do the whole collegiate route, but it wasn't something that I saw myself doing. So I started hanging out with my friends, my really close friends. Even though I had moved to Broward, I was still hanging out with my buddies from like Hialeah, from Miami Lakes. I grew up in Miami Lakes, PSN to be exact. And one of those things was like growing up in that area, I got to meet a lot of good people and people that I still are by my side to this day. Speaking of that one person, Orlando Ramirez, he's my best friend. He's essentially the one that got me into cars. Because as a kid, I used to play with little cars here and there, but I never really like.
That's right. You had a huge Hot Wheels collection.
Yeah, that's what I told you about earlier. But yeah, like it was like more of like Destruction Derby, like not really putting it to like what it can be used. Like a fast car can go fast down the hallway. Like it wasn't like that. It was like more like a reckless car thing. But it wasn't until like going back a little bit. For me, it was more of a competitiveness, like having that competitive feeling, because when I played baseball and soccer, it was all about the competition, right? Growing up, getting older, I never had that competition anymore. So I lacked that, you get me? So one of the things that that brought me like kind of back home to that feeling that you were explaining earlier, like in Puerto Rico of racing your cars and stuff like that, for me it was Gran Turismo. Which is funny because you were talking about a sim race or like a racing game also that you were playing, right?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of what I did was through Forza and Gran Turismo.
Yeah, so for me, it was Gran Turismo, I believe, 3, and then 4 is where I got hooked. Yeah. So Gran Turismo 4, I never forget this. We used to race on the Muse S1000, right? Through Grand Valley.
Oh, my God.
That was the course. And let's just say I ended a lot of friendships that way. Which, if you don't remember, that was one of their famous stickers. It's like ending friendships in record time.
There you
go. That was the Gran Turismo motto.
I remember a friend of mine that I had gone to his house. This was probably 8-9 years ago. And he had already gotten his VR, and he had just like a basic wheel and pedal setup. And that was my first introduction to iRacing, and it was an MX-5 at Laguna Seca.
How long ago was this?
This was probably like 10 years ago.
Jesus.
It's incredible how long iRacing has been around. I mean, I honestly can't believe that.
2008, I believe?
Some of these people that I've spoken to, that they've told me like, oh yeah, I've been on iRacing since the beginning. It's like, no wonder you're that much faster than me. It's like I'm here racking my brain about how can I find
how
this
can you
extra
drop 4 seconds
or
on
that.
some tracks,
Yeah,
and you're like,
it's crazy.
Confidence? Like, that's pretty much the only thing, because, I mean, you drive through Bathurst, you got to have balls to go through Bathurst.
Yeah, and so going back to the mentality that I was in, I always needed a reason to continue doing this. Like, I needed a reason to do the content, and I needed a reason to keep pushing through with whatever it is I was doing. I didn't want to just be another guy on the internet making content for the heck of it.
For nothing.
To me, mental health has always been a huge... I don't want to say issue, but it's been something that I have dealt with very closely my entire life. Ever since I moved here to Florida, I could take you back to, the very place where I started realizing I had like a problem with, depression and anxiety. And going back into that kind of racing mindset, it really just reminded me, and somehow, some way, I can't even explain it, but I started thinking in an older way. Like my way of thinking changed, and I started looking at things differently, and I started questioning everything that I once believed, and it was just kind of like relearning how to think in a way. And I really think that going back to something that essentially I started my life with was huge. I think that, it's definitely helped me move forward in life quite a bit.
Yeah, and that's the one thing about like with sim racing, or like, I mean, we say iRacing because that's like the main thing that we
Pretty much
play.
all we do right now, yeah.
Yeah, but with sim racing in general, like depending on what game you're playing, depending on what thing you do, like in the sense of that field, if you're looking to stream, if you're trying to do any of that other stuff, it's crazy because it makes you really learn how to do things again. Like,
Yeah.
because for me, I come from, I mean, once I graduated high school, I got into the photography world, which is crazy, you know, like we lived not too far from each other.
Yeah,
And we
we
had
did.
no idea. And we hung out with the same people.
Absolutely.
It's
I mean,
crazy. Crazy how that happens. But I basically ended up working in the photography field for probably like 5 years. I worked at a rental house. I did the whole, like, you know, shooting for money, shooting weddings, which the worst,
Yes, agreed.
right? I love the idea. I hate the
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 execution.
execution because it's like you're dealing with, you'll have
Yeah.
a good brides, and there are great brides out there.
Yeah.
But it's just sometimes, you know, it's tough. It's a tough gig.
It's a very, especially
To
when
say
you're doing
the
it by
least.
yourself. Especially when you're doing it by yourself and there's multiple locations with,
Yeah.
you know, the hotel or the venue. I mean,
You got to run back and forth.
it's
Oh, did you
crazy.
get the shots of the groom? Did you get the shots of the bride?
Yeah.
Blah blah. Like, it's a mission. So, so that being said, like I ended up going into like the rental house world where I was like in basically just like a grip person. So like, oh, go get apple boxes, or I need a medium octavang. All right, cool. Run to the back, set it up for the photographer, you know, and I was in that field for a little bit. And the crazy thing about that is that, like, going through that and learning, you learn things every single day, right?
Yeah.
With iRacing and with all these programs, you have to relearn all these things because you're so used to doing it a certain way that when you get to like streaming something, you have to learn how to use OBS if you're using OBS, if you're using other
It's a whole,
programs.
yeah, it's a completely
It's
different
like
ballgame.
it's like Photoshop for like,
yeah,
it's
I
crazy.
honestly think that at least OBS works just like Photoshop.
The
You've got
layers,
different
you have-
layers and everything, and even the positioning of the layers.
But even that, like coming from our field, it's like it makes sense, right? Because it's something that like coming from like a person that's fresh, super fresh, you can't really like, you see that like yesterday, for example, we were talking with a buddy of ours, and he understood it, but he couldn't really like get grasp like how some of the stuff were lined up. We got it instantly. We were like, no, this is what we mean, this
Yeah.
and that, and we were able to walk him through it. Same thing goes with like the racetracks. Same thing goes with like the race cars that we choose to race with, right? It's the same thing because you'll play with a car and a track and the same track in Forza, and then you'll get into iRacing and you're like, yo, that hill
This
wasn't
feels,
there.
yeah, this feels completely
Yo,
different.
I can't see over the hill in Road Atlanta. Where am I? And then you'll talk to drivers and they'll be like, bro, did you not notice the little 3 lines on top of the overpass?
Yeah.
That's so you know where you're at during the race.
Or the cone at Sebring,
The cone at Steinberg is another
turn
good
one at Sebring. There you
but
go.
it's one of those things that you don't know until you do it, right? And like with iRacing, what that taught me was to like kind of take a step back from just trying to be the fastest and really learn and observe what everyone around you is
Yeah.
doing, because that makes you a better driver.
Yeah.
And
I had a conversation with somebody yesterday. Fortunately, now that I've been doing this for a while, I've been able to get a lot of people that, you know, previously weren't in it. I've been able to get them on streams, and I've been able to get them on
Super cool,
iRacing, which makes me feel good because obviously we must be doing something right if we're trying to get other people
Yeah.
to get involved in doing it. And what I told him yesterday was that iRacing is literally modeling most of everything that happens in real life, between whether it's the team racing, whether it's the car setup. And speaking of team racing, I mean, that's how we met. You know,
Yeah.
essentially, that's how we realized that we were both, whether it was in the same field and we knew the same people, and it was through Facebook. Like we had
Yeah,
just
so it
commented on
was-
somebody's.
funny story, it was Frank.
Yeah,
So
it was
Frank
Frank.
Leon, so a photographer, mutual friend. Which is funny because I clicked your page and you know everybody. You know Anderson, you know Frank, you know I think
Donnelly.
Drew Blood,
Drew Blood,
Donnelly.
Jordan, yeah.
Which I shot, like I did a photo booth at Donnelly's parents' house.
There you go.
Random. You
It's
get
just
me?
crazy how
Yeah.
photography and cars like just go hand in hand.
But that just goes to show you, like, you know, we through Frank we were able to like, you know, like, oh, what the heck, this guy's doing sim racing content. And I saw your stuff, and it was like, I think that was when you were not just getting started, but you had already a couple months.
I had done a few things already, and that's how I ended up at Rick Motec, was because,
Yeah.
to be honest with you, and I'll tell the story over and over again. I went in on Google one day, just typing in Sim Racing Miami, not expecting anything to come up. And first line was Rick Motec, and I was like, wait, like this can't be
Oh,
happening right now.
and where's it at? Where's it at?
So they're up in Miami Lakes, and
Boom.
To be honest with you,
Right in our backyard.
it's not even
Yeah.
that, but you know,
Or my backyard,
a
not
lot of
yours.
us that went to school here,
Mm-hmm.
we've all gotten our class pictures done and gotten our
at Fox Mod.
at Foxmar. So
That's
I don't know about
funny.
you, but like back in like 2005, 2006 or
You
whatever
took a
it was,
drive up
I've been to Foxmar, and who knows how long that's been there. I mean, it's
forever.
been
Forever.
It,
Because I remember all my buddies took the pictures there for American because it's right there.
there you go. And then just little by little after that, and just seeing how many pro drivers were here, like living here. Montoya lives here, Fittipaldi lives here,
Yeah.
and seeing all these people that were here. And now, I mean, the simulator industry has completely exploded in the last
Boomed.
2 months.
Crazy. I was watching, they had Talladega, like NASCAR is completely taking iRacing and like,
How many
Pushing
views
it.
we're getting now?
what, for
Hundreds of thousands of views.
for NASCAR?
Yeah.
A lot. NASCAR is like crazy how many people are watching it. And same thing, I think, with the Indy Rising Star series, I believe it's called.
The Road to Indy.
The Road to Indy. That's
Yep.
super cool. That's like something
Rick
that like,
Tech sponsoring that.
shout out to Rick Motek. Like that's freaking awesome, dude. That like, such like a local brand here in Miami. Shout out to Frank Rico, right?
Yep.
Is doing it like that. It's one of those things. Like I never forget this. When this happened, it was a week and a half before because I ended up getting laid off for this whole COVID-19 thing. But a week and a half before I got laid off, I literally texted Frank and I was like, Frank, this is your time to shine. So this is the time to reinvent the company and go full force because everybody's at home and everybody's racing.
Yeah.
I'll show you that text off air, but literally through Instagram, I sent him that. He goes, "Hey man, the more help we have, the better." And yeah, so
I try to talk to him weekly, and
he's an amazing person.
he's an amazing person. I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen him do things for people in terms of getting people to use their simulator at the highest capacity.
Yeah, and he doesn't try like he's not a salesperson. He's not going to try to sell you something.
He's not.
It's
He's
crazy.
absolutely
Like-
not. He'll get in there and enjoy it just as much with you.
Mm-hmm.
He loves talking about it, and he loves just all the little details about it from the engineering standpoint, and just talking about touching on the
Yeah.
situation now where you got laid off. I think obviously it's affected everybody
It has.
financially. We've been able to do a lot in terms of our team and being able to continue doing
Well,
content together.
Tell them a little bit about how, because I mean, we briefly touched on it,
Yeah.
but like as far as like the endurance stuff, like how, because we got in touch through Frank, but then like we ended up, we exchanged information. You were like, oh, I'm at Rick Motec for the Hump Day challenge, I
The
think it
hump day
was.
yeah. So basically, it was just a matter of we were in the right place, the right time. We wanted to do a lot of the endurance events on iRacing.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to take me years to
I
be
think
able
you
to.
threw the idea.
It might have been.
Or
it
no,
was-
you know what it was? I had talked to Frank about it because I wanted to do the 24 hours of Daytona.
Right.
And I kept throwing the idea, and Frank was like, oh, like we've done it in the past, but like right now, I don't think it's a good time to do it because of everything going on, all that stuff. So
Yeah.
we had, that's when I think the day that I was going to meet you, and then I told you about it, and you were like, dude, I've always wanted to do that. Like,
And Osmani was there, so it just kind of became like,
meshed
hey,
everything, yeah.
we were like literally on the same. Like, hey, can you drive? Can you drive? And we're what 4
We ma-
races in.
It happened at Rick.
We're 4 races in now. We're getting ready for our
We did
Indy
just to
500 in
check
2
the
weeks.
list. We did Daytona. It was our first race, which
Daytona.
we black flagged because of Osmani. Shout out to Osmani.
Shout out.
That was my fault. I'll take blame for that one. But there was after Daytona, it was Bathurst, right?
Bathurst.
Which was an amazing story to that. We had the car blow up on the top of the hill
Car blew up on the top of the hill and
with
rolled
10 minutes left.
and rolled
And
all the way
rolled
into
to
the
the
pit box.
pits.
Not just the pits, but the pit box.
The
like,
pit box. And you just hear Anthony in the background. Oh my God, we made it.
That was
Yeah.
pretty epic. We did Sebring after that, right?
Sebring, yeah, which I think we placed 12th or 11th in that.
Yeah.
We placed pretty well. Which we did in the GT3, the Porsche,
The
RSR, one,
RSR. And
Yeah.
then we just finished Nürburgring 24 hours.
that was crazy.
That was insane.
I had the worst race of life. Like that was.
But you know what? At least we finished those 24 hours.
You killed it though. You did really good.
I
on
love that car though. I mean,
Yeah.
that car and that truck was definitely
It was a
a
fun one.
very comfortable combo for me.
And what do we have coming up now? This in 2 weeks. We
Indy
got.
500. We're doing something a
We're
little
all-
different.
We're all going solo, but
We're doing something a little bit different. I mean, we usually do road racing, but this time
Yeah.
we're doing oval in the Indy. So 200 laps at Indianapolis. It's gonna be
hopefully boys can keep up.
yeah. Hopefully it's
Shout
gonna
out
be
to all our racers.
hopefully it's gonna be a nice clean race. But it's iRacing. It's who knows. It's anybody's guess, I guess, at that point.
Yeah, those cars are fast though. So
And unfortunately, I really wanted to have that all set up in here.
Yeah.
I wanted to have the simulator set up in here. I wanted to get a second simulator put in here. But unfortunately, everything that's been going on with the pandemic, it's put this entire plan on hold. And, you know, this townhouse here, we decided to do this here because I really just kind of wanted to touch on the fact that this was kind of my next move. This was my next business move. I was going to have this set up for my food photography business, set it up as a studio for the simulator.
It's a beautiful place, by the way. It's like
Thank you.
the natural lighting you get in this place is
That was a big thing. I mean, natural lighting for a lot of what I do looks good. It
Natural.
Looks,
It looks
looks
perfect.
natural. I mean,
Yeah.
we wanna showcase items like food and stuff. As
what is
clean
it?
and pretty
A
as
studio
possible.
shoot is cool and all, but there's nothing like that natural look.
Yeah.
You can't like recreate that.
So, unfortunately, I mean, a lot of these plans have been put on hold. But with that being said, though, we continue to move forward with doing
Always.
all our stuff. You know, what we're doing for the industry, what we're doing, you know, directly for the sim racing industry, creating content together and doing the races together, whether it's racing for mental health or, you know, whatever it is that we're doing it for, we continue to do something. And I think that's the key, is that we continue to keep moving, because if we end up kind of sitting around, this quarantine's really going to get to us. And I mean, I have days where it affects me more than other days. And
Yeah.
you know, fortunately, we still have everything that we've got going on.
Yeah, we have a lot of things going on. For one part, we're recording all our endurance races.
Yeah.
You for one part are actually recording every race you do. So
Just about every race.
you want to let
I'll-
people know how to get to that. That's also
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
just if you go on Racing for Mental Health on Facebook, there are a bunch of streams, but a lot of what the goal behind that page was is just to create another community
mhm.
and create a community where other drivers, other people can have a reason,
or a
to-
place to just
a
ask
place,
questions.
or
yeah.
you know, but also just kind of I don't want to say a reason, because I mean they don't need their own reasons to be driving or to
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
what they're doing, but
I know what you mean.
if they want to, I guess, believe in the whole Racing for Mental Health thing, I mean, that's what it's there for. It's just to be able to go talk about it and to essentially destigmatize the entire idea of mental health.
Yeah.
It's a difficult subject, I think, for some people to talk about. And I just truly believe that we all have a brain and we've just got to take care of it.
And everybody's to a certain limit on what they can deal with. But I mean, for the most part, what this does go to show you is that, like, you know, there is a community out there, and everybody's not always an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, because you're gonna deal with like those type of people everywhere you go.
Yeah, definitely.
In every industry, every single industry. So it's just one of those things that it's like, as the more things you do, iRacing specific, you have questions, just ask. Like, most of the people in the lobbies that you join, they're gonna be super helpful. Like today, I'm relearning the whole oval racing thing, because like it's super exciting to me, like to constantly be side by side to people and not really like, you know, like it's one of those things that it's one mistake can destroy a whole race for everyone. And it's like the coolest thing to, like, just that living the life on the edge type feeling, that is super cool to me. So like today I was talking to, like, I just chatted in. I was like, hey guys, what is that like orange line on the back bumper of these cars? And they're like, oh, that's your class. So like while you're driving,
Learn something new.
you can actually see, like, it's kind of like how in road racing, you know how they have the line under the wing that shows your class? Same idea, except it's on the rear bumper. So when you're driving, you're like, oh, it's orange. That guy's a noob. Which I'm orange. I'm a noob right now. But
Me too.
But
on oval, me too.
somebody told me today, they're like, can you hold your line? I'm like, yes, I can. They're like, all right, so you're a D-class driver with a soul of a B-class. Like, in the super redneck accent. I was like, alrighty.
There you go. I mean,
But it was
you
just,
meet
it's
people
funny
from
and
all parts of the
super
world.
helpful.
I love that. I love the fact
Yeah.
that now we've essentially positioned ourselves as people that know the platform
Yeah.
from all types of angles. I mean, at least for me right now, I'm loving the fact that I can help people put their streams together. I'm having people that I've never met, you know, reach out through either my Facebook or through Discord.
Who
And
did
I-
we meet like not too long ago? From Puerto Rico. That he actually raced with us this
Yeah,
past.
my buddy Alberto. I mean, all
Super
these
cool
guys.
dude.
You know, I'm originally from Puerto Rico, and the support that has come in through the pages from Puerto Rico has been incredible. And a bunch of people have reached out because they see the streams and, you know, they see the overlays and
And there's a huge following in Puerto Rico. I didn't
Yes,
realize that.
me
Like,
neither.
I would look into Cuba because that's where my family's from, but there's no internet over there. But anyways, but there is a huge following there, dude. It's crazy. I was like going through because Albert sent me the page of the sim racing Puerto Rico, which is like the league they run.
Yeah.
And it was ridiculous because I'm looking at that and I'm like, dude, how can they get literally almost 150 people to all be like, yo, I want to race, and it's like that's like a nice following, dude. Like to get people that are consistent, you got me? That's tough.
I think, yeah, especially for road racing, which is what most of us are doing right now. I think Puerto Rico is a huge place.
It's crazy because he knows like a bunch of people from like road racing here in Miami, which is like
it's like Anthony said. I mean,
Mhm.
it's motorsport. It's a big deal, but it's also a very small world.
it kind of is.
It's, I think, and here in Miami, I mean, there's so much of it.
We're the gateway to everything, so it's
Yeah.
like people from Puerto Rico come here to race
So
everywhere.
I'm really enjoying that side of it, is of being able to learn all this stuff, putting in the work, and then being able to help other people out. Because there's so many people that want to get into it, and so many people that just don't have the know-how, and just to be able to click around and learn different things
Yeah.
here and there. That's my favorite thing. I have the time to do it now,
Yeah.
so I'm more than willing to do it and help people out.
So essentially, what got me into the whole sim racing thing was a buddy of mine, Emil Garcia. I was actually making fun of him. I was making fun of him on Xbox Live, right? We were drifting. He goes, bro, I started doing video for Rick Motec, this and that, blah blah. It's funny, like again, small world situation.
Yep.
And he tells me all this stuff. I'm like, bro, there's no comparison to real life, bro. Get out of here with that shit. That's bullshit, right? Like just the whole Cuban in me came out. I was like, nah, bro, that's BS, blah blah, whatever. And bro, from one day to another, I end up getting a call from a friend. Hey, come pick this MR2, Toyota MR2 up, because I have another MR2 and I have this one they gave me. And pretty much I went to pick it up. I had a bunch of ideas of what I was gonna do with the car. Right, I was gonna build it into a race car, roll cage, this, that. That's like $15,000 right there to do like all the
big
plans
amount of
that
money
I have.
to build a race car for
right?
sure.
So then I got that moment that I was like, oh crap, Emil told me that I can build a sim like rig for like $1,000, like not including the computer, but like for to put something decent together. So I got in contact with Emil. I told him, hey, look, I'm really interested in this. Can you hook me up? He goes, yeah, pass by one of these days. They usually do like this hump day thing. Check it out. That was like, I want to say a year and a half ago. Went to Rick Motec. I used the rig there for the first time. Used it with the Willwood pedals and all that stuff. And I was still talking crap to Emil. I was like, bro, it's not the same. It's not the same, right? Bruh, it was probably way better because I didn't have to throw on a $15,000 check to build a race car.
And you can do it in shorts.
And you could do it in shorts, chilling, like no socks on, like chilling as heck,
completely
like,
hanging out
all day. And it was one of those things. Like I had like that moment that I was like, dude, like I can do this, have a lot of fun, right, and not have to front like $1,000 every weekend that I want to go race or something.
And what are you seeing for the future?
For me, it's like for the future of sim racing, or the future of like
that's the future of sim racing and what we're doing together, actually.
So for me, the future for me in sim racing is endless, bro. I mean, it could only get better from where it's at right now.
I think it's growing at such a fast pace right now that to even put a single pin on this is what it's going to be.
It's
probably
hard.
not even. It's probably impossible. It's probably not even fair to try and even do that because so much is expanding from every single league. We were just joking about, hey, let's get IMSA to try to do an event.
Bro, before all this crap happened, you remember that conversation
we
had
did.
on the drive home?
We were just talking about, hey, IMSA should do this or WEC should do this.
It's like
about a week later, they all started doing it. So, again, if we continue on this track, I think we're going to be either putting a league together,
or even just starting a network where we can just discuss with people and see what people are doing, what their visions are, because we're not the only ones that do this. You get me?
No, absolutely not. I mean, I think that if we're the ones that can connect other people with other people, whether it's for the streaming, the coaching, the actual driving, you want to be a team, you want to be, I mean, Anthony's an engineer, and Anthony's absolutely loving the engineering side of iRacing and being able to do the setups. There's so many things now that trying to compare real life to the sim, it's no longer fair. I mean, sim racing now, it's its own thing.
It's its own thing.
And
it's like, it's hard to compare sim racing to racing. Does it have a lot of the same things? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right? So, but there's a lot of other things that like you have kind of like some easy way out type shit, like fast repairs and all that stuff that really help it like kind of leveled it out a little bit for those that aren't really like that, because like, for endurance series we don't have fast repairs. That's something that's like, no, you're gonna sit in the pit for 20 minutes and I'm gonna take a 20-minute advantage.
Yeah.
You get me? So it's with sim racing, I don't think it's ever gonna be the same. Could it translate into real racing? Absolutely.
I think it's an
100%.
absolute, yeah,
and it's already doing it.
Stepping stone for it.
It's already doing it now. Gran Turismo has their academy.
Yeah.
iRacing, I'm sure, has another academy. Like, it's things that like they're already transitioning into like transitioning sim racers into real race car drivers because they see that, hey, there's something here.
Yeah, and I think that, to kind of wrap things up, I think that what we're trying to do is just fill those gaps, whatever gaps we can find,
or tell the stories,
and just really exactly just continue putting it out there, whether it's for the sim racing, whether it's for the mental health, whether it's to bring people together. We just want to get it out there.
Yeah,
we
so
just want to.
And one of the things is like, the cool thing about this is that like I personally have my own podcast that I do, and the cool thing that I reflected to you about, that I was like, hey, look, this is a great idea. We should do this moving forward. Is maybe starting a vlog or a podcast that we can like kind of just bring people on and be like, hey, like ask them this story, like what we talked about today, like what got you into motorsports, how did you get into sim racing, and what's your goal for it? Like, you get me? And just tell us a story, like just because.
And there's so much to learn from there.
Exactly.
There's an absolute, an endless world of things.
Because that one thing that person might say might trigger a thought to create 100 others. And that's what I love, like, especially with like podcasts. I love listening to podcasts because it's one of those things that it's like, bro, you're thinking about something. We have our own things that we deal with every single day in life, right?
Yeah.
And until you hear somebody else either relate to it or maybe they have gone to it also through it also, you get me? That may help them moving forward. So
I think that just to end it here, what you just said about somebody could say one word and it can change everything. Going back to my depression and all that stuff, somebody told me, hey, you're unhappy because you want to be unhappy. From that moment on, I started questioning, like, holy shit, like, that's 100% true.
That sounds like something I would say, but I don't think that was me.
And it was literally the very next day where I made that conscious decision to say, I'm going to start being happy. And I think that everything else...
Just do things you like.
I started doing things that I loved, and I just didn't give a shit about anything else.
Yeah.
And I just fulfilled that happiness in myself, and it's gotten me here.
Yeah. So that being said, I think we can let people know already. We're going to do stuff that make us happy, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely gonna keep pushing forward with this stuff, and
we're starting a podcast.
That's what
I'm getting at. We're starting a podcast.
We've got quite a bit of guests that we've got lined up. People from all parts of motorsport, whether it's the coaching side, engineering side, and drivers. So.
Even mom and pop, maybe. You never know. We'll get Abuelita in there too.
Abuelita.
She's gonna be like, ese niño todavía está en el cuarto con el micrófono.
Ay, bendito. But anyway, you got anything else?
Nah. Now
that's it.
Get to work and produce some dope content so you can watch us.
Yeah. Well, thanks for hanging out.
Peace.
Peace.
That's awesome. There you go.